In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art not in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the kingdom forever. Amen. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. This article, How Mexico's Cartel Wars Shattered American Mormons' Worry Peace. For decades, this small village of American Mormons in the mountains of northwestern Mexico coexisted peacefully with the region's most powerful drug cartel. The Americans rolled down their windows at cartel checkpoints. They nodded to the sicarios at horse rounds, races, shared pomegranates during the harvest. When the cartel vehicles needed repair, Lamora, American mechanic, fixed them for the same fee he charged his neighbors. So this week, as an American in one of Mexico's most lawless areas, meant maintaining an uneasy truce with the traffickers. Basically, it was, we won't bother you if you don't bother us, said Adam Langford, whose great-grandfather was one of the first American Mormons to move to Mexico in 1880. Then on Monday, it became clear that no agreement could insulate Lamora from Mexico's rising violence. That morning, gunmen stopped 3 vehicles on a dirt road outside of the town, killed 3 women and 6 children, shooting babies at close range, targeting a mother as she begged for her children's lives. The Mexican government has suggested that the vehicles were attacked by mistake, but here in Lamora, that explanation makes little sense. It has infuriated residents. They say the families were targeted intentionally by a cartel from the neighboring state of Chihuahua, maybe as revenge for the community's proximity to the local cartel in Sonora, where Lamora is located. The massacre comes amid an intensifying turf war between the cartels that residents watched nervously for over a year. We watched as things got worse, more tense. Thought the same thing we always did, but they won't come after Americans, said Adam Langford, 43, a midwife in Lamora. They would stop us at a checkpoint and ask what we had. We'd say honey or potatoes, and they'd let us go. Lamora was established in the 1950s, part of a movement of fundamentalist Mormons who broke away from the mainstream Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For decades, they remained largely cut off from the United States and the rest of Mexico. Without electricity or running water, children watered their own bicycles with metal rods. Residents developed pecan farms and ranches, brought money back from seasonal work across the border. And by the 1990s, the community was thriving. They built homes designed for U.S. suburbs. When friends in the United States asked about their safety, many explained that they rarely locked their doors. They allowed their children to roam free in the foothills of the Sierra Madres. They had 2 schoolhouses, one for Spanish and one for English, and the students, fluent in both languages, divided their time evenly. But amid the idle, the residents of Lamora recognized their community's strategic importance, and it was directly off an unpatrolled dirt path that led to the United States, a gem in the crown of any trafficker. In 2009, 2 men related to the Lamora families but living in Chihuahua were kidnapped and killed, allegedly by the state's biggest drug cartel. It was a shock, suggesting that maybe the community's dual citizenship wasn't enough to insulate its members from rising violence. But many here believe that their unlikely relationship with the cartel and the state would protect them. Although there was little police presence in the area, some felt the cartel, sometimes known as the Sonora Cartel, had to come and serve as some type of shadow police force. Fact is, the state didn't provide law and order, but the cartel did, said Adam Langford, a 2-time mayor of the municipality. Sometimes, the men at the checkpoints would apologize after stopping them. He would say, "Sorry guys, we're just guarding our territory," said Kenneth Miller, 32. Yo, that man caps, this is what an end game is. In the recent months, there were signs that the peace was deteriorating. For the first time, the local cartel demanded that the families of Lamora stop buying fuel in Chihuahua and wouldn't find the rival cartel. Unfamiliar men manned the usual checkpoints. They appeared jumpier, sometimes pointing guns at passersby. Rumors spread about the intensifying turf war between criminal groups. People started asking each other, is it time to move back to the U.S., said Adam Langford. The population dwindled to about 100. Across much of Mexico, the strength of the cartels and the inability of the government to control their influence has been on daily display. The number of homicides climbed from 3,341 33,341 last year to another 40,000. Another 40,000 people are missing. God bless the dead. The cartel's attacks have become particularly brazen. On August 27th, people were killed in Veracruz Ball when doors were locked. The ball was set alight. Last month, 14 police officers were killed in an ambush in Michoacan. Also last month in the city of Culhuacan, Sinaloa cartel overpowered government security forces, forced the release of Aviavo Guzman Lopez, one of the country's best-known drug traffickers. Through it all, President Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador has resistance call to toughen his security policies. Said he's trying to provide jobs that lure people away from the cartels. He handed out millions of scholarships to keep kids in school. We aren't going to change the strategy, he reiterated Thursday. We're going to continue to address the causes behind insecurity and violence. That's not the issue. In the 1950s, the United States did amazingly. We had unlimited jobs, massive growth, and massive amounts of drugs and massive amounts of mobs and mobsters and criminals. They feed off the outskirts of what you have. This is not a problem of you not having enough schools and educated people. This is a problem of you not having a police force willing to stand up to the goddamn cartels. Residents of Lemoore have taken their own precaution, begun traveling in convoys and moving between Sonora and Chihuahua. They decided it was time to secure legal firearms. On Monday, when 3 women and their children left town, Renita Miller calls before leaving. She told her mother-in-law, Loretta Miller, I have a bad feeling. Maybe I shouldn't go. Less than an hour later, Renita Miller was killed with her 4 children. When residents found her car was on fire, apparently set alight by the gunman. The other victims were found later. And remember something, this isn't the fucking movies. You can shoot at a car for years and it won't fucking catch fire. They set the fucking car on fire with the children in it. The other victims were found later. 2 surviving children walked for hours through the wilderness after escaping. One of them recounted the gunman had fired at him and he ran into the bush. Just a case of mistaken identity, right? Children look just like adults. In hours, the massacre sent a shockwave through Mexico and the United States, renewing questions about Mexico's failure to secure its territory, prompting President Trump to offer up firepower to the U.S. military. And we should fucking do it. There are very few wars that I'm behind. This is one of them. The residents of Lemoore began preparing for funerals. They've made wooden coffins. Amber Langford, the midwife who delivered the children who were killed, now embalmed their bodies. Hundreds of peoples arrived from northern Mexico and the United States on Thursday for the funeral of Donna Langford, 43, and the children Trevor, 11, Rogan, 2, in the family's backyard. Troops from Mexico's National Guard stood near the entrance. Family members wept as they spoke with their loss, remembering the way Donna told stories, how Trevor devoured waffles, how Rogan couldn't seem to stop smiling. If we don't go bomb these motherfuckers, I may go do it myself.